topic today, the election no one sees. I'm Wayne Shepherd with Dave Zanotti. It's time for the Public Square. We've got Jeff Sanders here, Melanie Elsey, and Rob Walgate, and Alan C. Duncan as well, putting on our magic glasses, I guess, so we can see the election and talk about it, right, Dave?
It's a funny thing, Wayne, because how we do politics in America, what we pay attention to and what we don't. And elections are like a long season. It's a 4-year season. You know, we're used to 3-month seasons or 6-month seasons, or if it's baseball, is it like now 9 months of the year we're playing baseball? All right, so election cycles happen in 4-year cycles, but you have an election every year. The challenge is that people only pay attention 2 times out of the 4 years. They pay attention at that midpoint even year election, because usually you have your statewide races for governor and other statewide positions. And then in the big election year, the presidential election year, which is also an even number year, everybody pays attention at some degree. Mm-hmm. Now, I realize there are people walking around every day in the height, 10 days out from a presidential election, who don't know who's even running. But that's the lowest time when people don't know. They usually are pretty clued in as to what's happening. Yeah. Every 2 years, of course, we reelect members of the House of Representatives to the United States Congress. That's by design. We can get to that in just a minute. But when you get into the odd year, off election year, a year like 2025, where the cycle is in essence starting all over again, you still have elections in October and in November in most places in the country. You also have spring elections, but you have usually October, November elections around the country. And the turnout rate in some places can be like 3%, 8%, 12%, because people see some yard signs, but they don't even know what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And because there's no media coverage whatsoever, except maybe on some talk radio stations if you've got a contested congressional primary, nobody knows, nobody votes. So here's the question we bring today. Should that bother us? Should that matter? Is that just kind of the way it is?
It should bother us. Yeah. I mean, those are people that are making decisions each and every day with our tax dollars. I was with some friends last week, and they were talking about the fact that in the township they live, there's like a walking trail that's kind of maybe a couple hundred yards from their house, and they have a great view. And they noticed there were some trailers over there, and there was some equipment that was bulldozing some things. And they were like, what's going on here? Well, the beautiful view is about to become a township parking lot so that people can use that trail now at a different access point. And that caught them by surprise, and we got talking about it. And then they went back through and looked, and all the neighbors, it caught them by surprise. But then when they looked, it's been talked about for months at the township trustee meetings. The problem is no one pays attention to the township trustee meeting minutes.
Yeah, they paved over paradise to put up a parking lot. We know that's all about, right?
Heard that in a song once.
This shouldn't catch us by surprise, but it did.
It's the most local stuff that we don't pay attention to.
That's what I think is ironic. Yeah. The lowest voter turnout has the highest impact locally.
Like whenever they're going to have another tax levy, they're going to increase your tax. In my county, there's a whole tax issue about a certain service that the government is offering, and people are not paying attention at all. It might be a really good service, too. I need to pay more attention to that.
Well, I remember there was someone that was running for state rep, and they talked about going to all those township trustee meetings and county commissioner meetings, and they were blown away by the amount of money that was allocated at each meeting to be spent, and really no one was in the room watching or paying attention. Everyone's distracted by what happens on Pennsylvania Avenue or what's coming out of Washington, D.C., but the people that were making decisions that were impacting their neighbors each and every day, no one was really watching.
So my concern, Wayne, is that this broadcast pretty quickly devolves into something like a trip to the dentist.
Ouch.
I mean, Yeah,
And you don't mean drill, baby, drill, do you?
Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, here we go again with this responsibility stuff and vote, and you gotta this and you gotta that, and we're busy, and I'm tired of politics. Just can't you ever leave me alone? I just want to watch baseball. I get it. America's in an interesting place, and when you study history, as we do, and particularly when we're studying to write, whether we're writing books or whether we're writing stage plays or Christmas in America or whatever content it is that we're working on to bring our history back to life, it's like living in two separate worlds. Because if you go back to when our nation was started, you have to recognize that we were starting nations, we were starting states, we were starting new territories. I mean, America was really young. And you could sit around and say all you wanted to about, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and blah, 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 blah. One, there was no budget. Two, there were no people. So if you were talking about it, you suddenly became the committee. Mm-hmm. The only thing that got done is what people picked up the tools and took the time to do. Well, you think we ought to have a canal? Fine, build it. Well, you think we ought to go ahead and change the zoning? Fine, change it. I mean, if you don't show, well, we need a city council, fine, you're running.
So they didn't pawn it off onto some government agency with any three letters of the alphabet. Is that it?
Yeah, there was no government agencies. Yeah. We started this thing off, we the people, and there was a time when we actually believed it. We actually believed that we held the responsibility to do the work of government. Now we believe there's this entity. It's like, I've rediscovered the vault on VeggieTales, by the way. So I've been watching VeggieTales again.
The pirates who don't do anything is my favorite.
I'm telling you, what a trip. And then I'm watching them with my grown kids, and we're roaring, laughing about the stuff we used to do when they were growing up watching VeggieTales. So I sort of feel like there's this entity, like this giant pickle called the government. And it's not us anymore. It's that. There it is. This giant blob, this mass that we all know is out there and we all pay our homage to and we all give our taxes to, but we've lost the sense that we, in essence, have to do the work. Well, Rob, like you were talking about, when you go back to the off election year, suddenly you realize there are human beings who actually volunteer to take these positions and to do the work on behalf of, simple things like, is the snow going to get plowed? Will the garbage get picked up on time? Will the water work when we turn it on?
Who sits on my local school board?
Local school boards, yeah. What are we going to teach all of the children in our community? Mm-hmm. And how are we going to teach it? Just little things like that.
Yeah, that's a big one in our community. I know local school board elections. I think many school boards are made up of 5 people at the local level and 2 of them being up. I mean, it's 40% of the board that can be changed in one election cycle. I mean, you see the yard signs, but have you done the research and looked at what those folks stand for? A lot of times.
It was a big deal in Northern Virginia about 3 years ago, and everybody was all up in arms, and finally they decided to replace the school board. It's still a war going on there in Northern Virginia.
And the other category is local judges. You still have judges on the ballots on the off years.
We know even less about them, don't we?
Right.
Yeah, and that's always a challenging part because in some states, judges run with a political affiliation. In some places, they run as nonpartisans. You've got all these different courts. And that kind of stuff makes voters a little bit crazy. And of course, that brings up the urgency of voting information, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. By the way, we're not going to solve this problem today. What we're doing is this is a misery loves company griping session in which we're acknowledging that the big pickle is basically deciding a lot of things that government's deciding it, but it starts right outside our door. And we've kind of lost our way. That's the point. We've lost our way because what we've really experienced is prosperity. And America is so prosperous. There is so much money that's being accrued into government agencies from our taxes that it's pretty much the old standard line I gave at the office, so leave me alone. And that's exactly what ends up happening. But what it really gets weird is we don't even vote anymore for those people who are in charge. So like Rob, what you said, you've got well-meaning people who are filling these spots. And I thank God for every one of them because they're willing to serve where I'm not.
Yeah.
I admit that out loud. I'm not a township trustee. I'm not a school board member. I've done a lot of work with school boards, all right, but I've never held a school board seat. All right. So they're willing to do the work. They're to be commended. But most of us are not willing to do that work. Well, if we don't at least vote. Now, I understand when some people say, well, I'm not going to vote because I don't know. And just just leave me alone. I get it. I truly get it. Wayne, do you ever feel that way?
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah. It's been so difficult to get to the bottom of some of these local issues. It really has been.
So let's talk about this. Let's put a little history behind it, and maybe we can dig our way out of this hole. And I mean, this show's got to be better than a root canal.
Yeah. So the election that no one sees, and maybe it's the election no one cares about that they need to care about. So that's what we're talking about today on the Public Square. And this program exists because you support it. Thanks for your support of the American Policy Roundtable and the Public Square. And it's so helpful when you share this broadcast with others. You can do that easily with the links. You'll find us online on YouTube and on our website, thepublicsquare.com, and with our smartphone app as well. So all those methods are making it very easy to pass this program on to friends and neighbors. We'll be back on the Public Square.
We will be right back for more on the Public Square.
If you're a regular listener to the Public Square, you've heard of the release of the new book, Jesus, His Story. The response has been remarkable. Why the excitement? This is a sample of what readers are saying. Arranging the 4 Gospels into chronological order put the life of Jesus into perspective. Thank you. One told us, after reading Jesus' story, I knew this would make a great graduation gift for my nephew. Another said, I got my copy of Jesus' story and read it over the weekend. I want to order 6 more. Can't wait to give them to my friends and family. Interested? You can call us at 1-800-522-8683 or order online. Take a fresh look at the greatest story ever told, Jesus, His Story, at thepublicsquare.com.
Spreading the light of liberty across the land. Now back to the Public Square.
The election no one sees, our topic today on the Public Square. Glad you're with us. And you're always welcome to contact us through our website, thepublicsquare.com. Dave?
So we kind of run away from this stuff. We ignore it. Oops, no harm, no foul. Oh, it's only a township trustee. It's only another one of those stupid measures you have to read about changing a charter in a city. I don't even have time to go to the polls other than sit there and read that for 3 minutes and try to understand. They're saying, okay, we're not going to build on this side of the road. We're going to build on that side of the road unless you vote yes or you vote no and da. What do I care? Just leave me alone. I'm busy.
Well, as Melanie has pointed out many times, the wording of these things, if it's a referendum, are very tricky. You really have to study them to understand what's being said.
Well, here's the thing. When you've got a voting participation level that's, like 25% of the eligible registered voters coming out in a year like this one is a big number. So that's all fine until it's like somebody does something really dumb in a school board decision. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, who are these people and what were they thinking and blah, 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 blah. People come out of their shoes. Their hair gets on fire. The local media is everywhere. Then it becomes a state story. Then Fox News picks it up and it's up on Salem radio and blah, right? You go back and say, did you vote in that school board election? But better yet, here's a thought. Why didn't you run? So you see what I'm saying? Look, here's the bad news. This is like going to the dentist. Our system is set up for we the people to be the government. So if we're not going to be the government, who's going to be the government? Some giant pickle from a VeggieTales story? Right? If we don't do the work, somebody else will. The work will get done.
It will get done. And a lot of times, I mean, like you said, we've seen prosperity, we've seen wealth, we've been spoiled by it. And, you know, we complain about our tax dollars at times being taken, and then we complain when they're used to fix the roads because there's orange barrels everywhere. I know I'm not a fan of that. I've had to wait in my community an awful lot as of late, but I'm like, well, they're spending some of the money that they're taking. I guess.
My road is being fixed as we speak. They're repaving my street right now, and I'm actually very happy about it because they did like a halfway job a couple months ago, and we're like, is that it? Are they done? They didn't say anything. They just half paved the road. And then so now they're doing the final layer. So yes, that's my tax dollars at work.
Can I share just what I do on the off election years? Because
you're going to make us all feel guilty. So
no. I'm hopefully going to make it not seem so bad because we know the voter participation is lower in the off years. And there is a way to encourage people to not be a part of that statistic. What I do is I go to my county board of elections once a year. Just make it a once a year habit, whether it's a presidential year or not. Any of these years that you're voting, the election's going to be in November. Something is going to be on the ballot in November. You just have to figure out what. So go to your county board of elections. Pull up your sample ballot. So I'm looking at my sample ballot for this year. There's a school board race. There's 5 people listed. So what do I do if I don't know those names? I go to Google or DuckDuckGo and search the name. Mm-hmm. The first thing at the top of the list is the candidate's website. I didn't even have to hardly work to get there. Or you might pick up an article where they're talking about their party affiliation, even though it's a nonpartisan race. People have party affiliations, even though they don't declare their party. You can get their conversational views in news articles. So just take a little bit of an effort to Google their names. There are some of these races where there's only one person on the ballot. Don't waste time on that one.
Right.
So if there's 2 or more people on the ballot, just spend 30 minutes on your entire ballot Googling something to see what you can find out about these people.
I look and see who endorses this candidate. Mm-hmm. Are they endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, by the Teamsters?
And a lot of times those are on their websites.
Yeah, they're proud of
their
that.
Endorsements.
And by the way, I don't have a problem with the Teamsters or the Fraternal Order of Police, but look and see who endorses them. And I got a card in the mail the other day about a woman who's running for judge, and I couldn't figure out anything about it. Looked at the bottom, and I knew the name of the treasurer. Treasurer was so-and-so and so-and-so for that campaign. I knew who that was. And I thought, oh, okay. Now I know a little bit more about that person. It doesn't take a lot of digging to figure this out.
But the habitual key is getting your sample ballot.
Yes.
Not waiting till you get to the voter booth to read what's on the ballot.
Right.
Look at it. There's 2 tax levies on my ballot. That's not been advertised. Huh. So I know that I'm expecting to vote on some financial decisions.
The other thing, a lot of times people feel like their vote doesn't count or doesn't have a lot of power. If you know voter turnout is really low in these years, your vote counts a lot.
Well, that's usually when people try to put a ballot initiative on a ballot in a state.
Yeah.
They're counting on it to be a very low turnout so they can get their turnout.
And typically those sample ballots are available electronically at least a month out. So sometime in the month of October every year, you can start looking for your sample ballot. And if you have kids, I send links. If one of my children lives near me, I'm sending a link to a sample ballot. Say, look at this. Make sure you know what you're doing.
We know every vote counts, but isn't it true that the more local the issue is, the more your vote counts because it's one of a few, right?
Right. And sometimes the local issues are just decided by a few votes.
Yeah. Dave's hand's in the air.
So, Rob, Melanie just basically described how you spend 2 out of every 4 years of your life buried in the idea of getting sample ballots out at the click of a button in all 50 states, from races from the state reps the whole way to the White House. That's the premise. And in essence, that's the uniqueness of iVoters. iVoters was one of the very first sites, if not the first site in America online to create the capacity of entering your mailing address with no other content, not even your name, entering your mailing address and your sample ballot coming up for your general election.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's happening in all 50 states. It's the same process. We've been able to raise the funding and to put the resources in to create a site that now works in the major election years. Now, give or take, Rob, can you remember the last presidential election year in 2024? How many candidates were you working with? How many tens of thousands of races?
When you think about all 50 states, you just take a look at a few. I think Pennsylvania has 200 members of their state house, I believe, right? Is that right? In Pennsylvania, they have a large number. Ohio has 99 and then 33 in the Senate. And then multiply that by 50 states.
132 races in one state alone. And you have perhaps
multiple candidates.
You have multiple candidates. Then multiply that by 50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about tens of thousands of races. We've been at this since 1998. 1998. It's been that long. We've been building it. This is when it started.
We're kind of getting good at it.
Yeah, we are.
And I just wanted to check myself. The Pennsylvania House of Representatives, 203 members. So 203 races in Pennsylvania alone. So you're most likely going to have well over 400 candidates because in some of the races you have independents or third-party candidates.
Right. That doesn't even count the statewides and all of that.
Good news is we're getting that done. That's the really good news. However, what Melanie's suggesting is when you're in that off election year, you can still go online, pull up your sample ballot from your Board of Elections, and then you've got to do all the work that basically Rob and the iVoters team and Melanie do in that general election year. But there's still a way with the electronics that are available. Now, you also might just find out taking that ballot with you to the coffee shop and talking to a friend would solve the situation, or making a couple of phone calls. But the information is available. Now, I want to say one more thing because we're going to run out of time here. There is another model as well, another page to this model, and it's a wonderful story. It's a local plan. It's something that I have watched unfold in a number of places around the country. I often see it at its highest level of development in the middle of the state of Ohio, in Ashland County, in Ashland, Ohio, and Ashland, Wayne County, and those surrounding areas right there in the center of the state. Just the other day, I got a report from one church. They had 28 guests show up at their church on Sunday morning to come and be prayed for. Now, the 28 guests were the people in their general local community who were running for township trustee and local mayor and city council and school board member. They came. Didn't matter what their party affiliation was. Didn't make any difference where their stands on the issues were. The church invites them every off election year or off election year. They invite the local candidates to come to meet everyone in the congregation. They literally invite them front forward as guests, and the pastoral team in the congregation prays that God will bless them and their families, and they honor them for being willing to serve. That's done without judgment. It's basically, you're willing to do the work for us. We want to say thank you and pray God will bless you for trying, whether you win, lose, get our vote or not. Thank you.
And you were saying that about that church because that is a very rare thing, unfortunately, for a church to do, right?
Well, I've seen it a number of times, but I'll tell you, if you think about it, it should be every church.
Shouldn't it?
It makes a difference.
Aren't we commanded in Scripture to pray for those who are in authority over us? I mean, it's not just like one or two places in the Bible.
Well, we're not commanded to pray for those who are trying to be in authority over us. No, they're not there yet.
Scripture implies that we should have an interest in government,
I think this church is going above and beyond what Scripture is telling us to do. Scripture, we do need to pray for those who are serving. But for those who are seeking to serve, I think it's a great idea to pray for them.
Absolutely. Sure. All right. We have run out of time for this edition of The Public Square, the election no one sees. You can go back and listen anytime at thepublicsquare.com if you joined us late. Thank you, team, and we'll see everybody next time.
The Public Square is a broadcast service of the American Policy Roundtable.
If you count the words of the Declaration of Independence, every word on the page, the total count is 1,458 words. The word revolution never appears in the Declaration. For a free copy of the Declaration, please visit thepublicsquare.com.